200 kilometres an hour were dangerous,
making it the strongest cyclone to threaten the popular holiday island in 20 years. This week on Nation's Business, we'll take a look into the rehabilitation work carried out by government in providing relief and livelihood restoration to all cyclone-affected areas in Fiji. In an effort to minimize the possible loss of lives and damages to property, the head of government, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama, reminded all Fijians to take all the necessary precautions before Cyclone Evan was predicted to hit Fiji.
I urge each and every one of you not to take lightly the warnings given by authorities. Secure your properties. Stock up on emergency and essential items.
The media were also briefed by the Ministry of Information to continue to inform the public about the need to prepare for the onslaught of Cyclone Evan.
You know, when we look back at how prepared Fiji was for Cyclone Evan, it comes down to the information and how quickly we got the information out. So we had 10 days notice prior to this hitting. So the media play an important role through the Ministry of Information of getting that information out. So the first thing we did was we got the media together and we did a full briefing on this was where the depression was, these are the outcomes we're currently looking at. And the message was get people prepared. So, you know, radio, TV and the newspapers, you know, played an important role of getting that message out to say, put up the cyclone shutters, start to think about batteries, start to think about moving to high ground, go to evacuation centres before it's too late.
The continuous issuing of weather bulletins from the Weather Office in Nadi greatly assisted in minimizing damages to property and also helped to save lives. Using the updated weather forecasts, the National Disaster Management Office briefed foreign missions and the relevant agencies daily about the situation on the ground.
We've received reports of fallen trees and damages, structures, big structures, reported from the General Dekombia, Bundu, Kia, and the Kombrove as well, FA power outage, solar rooftop on weight, damages to root crops. These are practically the damage that were incurred with the substantial strong and gusty winds that we had encountered last night, sir.
Many families who were warned of the impending cyclone took shelter in evacuation centres before tropical cyclone Evan hit.
Well, we have to be prepared any time, like in the flood. As soon as we know that there is a heavy rainfall and the floodwaters are coming up, like we hear the news on the radios or TVs, then we get prepared. We have got an evacuation center at Dilkusha Boys School, and the provincial council people just came down say about 2 hours ago, and they told us that if there is any problem like this, if the water is too high rising up, we can go down to the evacuation center that's at Dilkusha Boys School.
At this point of the time, I can only say is they should just move out of there. They should go on higher ground, head to the nearest evacuation centers and just take extra precautionary measures and just be safe.
Those who did not move to the allocated centres also took precautionary measures by putting up cyclone shutters and other reinforcements to keep themselves and their properties safe.
Te wungi rongo di tuane baro mena Singapore wai Singatambia usa ngolo abu sar ngolo monde koro sa te umu bantu itu tu vera na tu mera ni kade bagi tu na tu kita ke na tu vera na non ravali sali bantu te vera kade bi mera na bi bu balera sing ni betunde sa non ravali mer sa tu kita ke tu mai na nunggu bale sar ko tu ngoi dak.
Tourists holidaying in the Asawas and the Mamanuthas were also evacuated to the mainland in Nadi, days before the cyclone was predicted to hit the group. Tourist boat operators worked overtime to ensure the safety of tourists from their island resorts to the mainland in Denarau, Nadi.
We have a committee in place. We have regular meetings, so we quite often make sure that we get the weather updates in. We listen to all the various sources, and we distribute the weather information to guests in a timely manner. It's very important to keep them informed so that they know what's happening, so that they don't panic. And the staff are trained to make sure that they can answer guest questions, you. And what was good about this is there was good forewarning. People left while it was still calm, so it wasn't rough. There was no panic getting people off the boats. It was all very organised. It was excellent.
That's our greatest concern at this time, is not necessarily comfort but safety, which was why the reason that we actually imposed, if I could call it, a lockdown at the height of it to keep the guests in their rooms so that they weren't in danger. We closed our restaurants so that it wouldn't induce them to come out, and instead we did complimentary food and beverage drops to the rooms.
Tropical Cyclone Evan left a swath of destruction across the Western Division, destroying homes, flooding rivers in the Central Division, and stranding tourists.
Au an rabatuna koribuli na ngauna ni Langamba. Au di an rabatuna hostel butakina high school. Ngauna sata laku makina tani. Au si so mura di sum laki mai. Au mai trader na zake reza na high school ra. Ngauna sa kau mai kina tani. Sa senra onu ngoi widi ya ki sa saraba wale tunga na waka tata ni Evel. Ni urai tuango au rei da vina kasaranga na tata labe ni kapa na kau ramusu e ngai viritaki e na lomani tu lomani bai mana dua tali na lomani bai.
Oh, at its height it was quite frightening. We sustained very, very strong winds over the island. And that night, after about 8 o'clock, when the cyclone the winds came from the opposite direction where they'd been running all day. So it was quite frightening. A lot of trees down, a lot of flying debris, a considerable amount of vegetation damage, but that can all grow back.
This, however, did not dampen the human spirit in reaching out to those who were in need of help. Neither did it deter Fiji's frequent visitors from wanting to holiday in Fiji again.
Despite the cyclone, Fiji is a beautiful place. So, you know, that was just an adventure that we hadn't planned on, that we had. So, yeah.
Looking forward to coming back to Fiji?
Oh, I'm definitely coming back. I'm definitely coming back, and I want to stay longer as well.
Okay.
It was fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, we stayed at the Shangri-La, and the staff were awesome. They brought food to our place, told us to stay in our rooms and brought food to us and drinks, and
so you guys were well looked after?
They looked after us amazing, yeah.
Nations Business went behind the scenes to witness the hard work carried out by the DISMAC authorities and agencies in the various relief activities, which included search and rescue and relocation in the various divisions, the restoration of vital services such as water and electricity, and the provision of temporary shelter and emergency healthcare to affected families.
I think one of the most affected agencies or areas that we actually went into was the water and electricity, the lifelines for both for economy and for the people. And we would like to expand our thanks to both water and Fiji Electricity Authority and Water Authority for the effort they put back Fiji into normalcy after the winds, especially with broken poles and power.
The Fiji Red Cross and other relief organizations, as well as the Republic of the Fiji Military Forces, the Police Force, and the Fiji Correctional Services Wardens, also mobilized teams to provide essential services to areas badly affected.
So the partly damaged RFMF engineers are working around the clock in scoping, in verifying the damage and also scoping the damage so that we will have to procure or purchase equipment or materials, building materials for the repairs of these partly damaged houses.
The Prime Minister, Vorenge Bainimarama, also met with DISMAC officials for daily updates on the ground and also toured affected areas, meeting with the families who were affected by Cyclone Evan.
Na loto ko kuchiro ko na legislation mermere na vi maboni kurubuli ni vi walwal hartu kala churto na kartu no game tu ni kam kurubuli sana hartu na gele to dipio na bol na san na wali.
Agencies were tasked to restore critical facilities and distribute food rations and relief supplies to affected areas, as well as complete the initial damage assessment and continue with the cleanup of affected areas.
O torti na ngono mo babina kina bale po nabi tamban to dok ambi bina matintu kawa kina nabi tambana ni kampani suara sala timar sana mai bi bukti ko na laman tinggo do tingno ngono babina ngo kwasango sulit ko ngona babina tingno bale ni sulit ko na yalo ni bina nomi bi ngomi karoti kina ni laure tingno chingo o sa pa ni bina tingno na ngono bina ngo.
The government prepared for Cyclone Evan with a proactive approach to prepare well in advance and deal with emergency relief after the onslaught. Fiji's dealing with Cyclone Evan is a glimpse of our most important and enduring national trait, our sense of optimism about the future and our conviction that we can change it for the better for ourselves and for our children. As Fijians, we must construct a more resilient nation. With the impact of Cyclone Evan, the time to act is now. Unlike past natural disasters, Fiji emerged from Tropical Cyclone Evan in better shape than expected. With the proactive preparation approach taken by government, the nation was better prepared for an unpredictable natural disaster.
Well, we talk about Facebook and how important the social media is. Well, we've got 70,000 people that tuned in to listen to those messages who are then telling other people. So, when, you look back, we can say that this was one disaster that we'd had through the January floods and the March floods last year. We were well prepared. We knew what had to be done. People listened to the advice, they took the advice seriously, and because they had so much notice, we saved lives.
Government's focus is making sure that damage is minimized, with rehabilitation works continuing in the various divisions with the restoration of essential services. With the assistance from international partners like the United Nations, the International Red Cross, the European Union, the World Health Organization, the Food and Agriculture Organization, foreign embassies and missions overseas, Fiji is putting less emphasis on recovering from disasters and making sure the damage is minimized.
Let me, on behalf of the Fijian government, especially those that are affected, thank you for this kind of contribution.
We feel an obligation. I think when we see our brothers and sisters who are affected by Cyclone Evans, I think anyone who have resources.
I have to say first that the French were very, impressed by this cyclone in Fiji, and so we wanted to show our solidarity with the Fiji population, and so that's why the French government, New Caledonia, and the French Red Cross also decided to send this help. We came today with this plane Casa from New Caledonia.
And we remain committed to helping those affected by Tropical Cyclone Evan. In total, we have provided $150,000 US in assistance to those affected by the disaster.
It's events like natural disasters that show the depth of the human spirit, witnessing individuals irrespective of creed, race or color, responding to the call of need in times of hardships.
Those people who want to have their home repaired or build new homes, you go to the Commissioner Working's office. But it'll be done, okay?
Ratu sangir tagio ina kavia o ortono office na commissioner's office lautoka me ni venakache me tarabotole tolla vale ni chuchungo lobu tolla vale go Bosar tunga na foundation wata kene yaya na lalanga papa na ndoko bubuni bale coach aku to don leng lamba. To baro torto ni venakachi me ni mataka me tar kene bale. Nona ker turang prime minister me te usaran tar bale ni matako ya gitu usama te utar bale sarang kita.
फिर हेल्प करी पीएम आई यहाँ पे तो फिर वो एक देखी तो फिर स्टार्ट हुई सब काम एनटी आई यहाँ पे हम बहुत भारी थैंक्स करता है पीएम के कि हमें इतना कभी सोचा नहीं रहा कि हमारे लिए इतना भारी वो है मदद आई हमारे लिए बहुत खुशी है कि हमें पहला दफ़े हमारा घर कम बना हुआ.
Many of us would say it's human instinct. Others would brush it aside as the natural way to respond. But it is the gift of compassion that propels each of us to respond as a community in times of need.
I commend the government for what they've done. I commend the Prime Minister. This is very proactive even before we knew what the damage was. The fact that this facility was being made available to us was, I think, something which is extremely commendable. I've worked in many countries in my life and I've not seen that type of reaction from the government.